Hi, good day everyone. Alex here from Leader. Just a very quick little video showing you the Ubiquity CRM tools, specifically on the UISP side of things, which is more geared towards wireless internet service providers, but really it's applicable to any reseller that is looking to provide long distance wireless links. Um, the main reason I'm doing this video today is just to show you the capabilities of the CRM tools built into Ubiquity. I'll be the first person to say that I was quite shocked at what is possible on Ubiquity CRM at this point. It's been a while since I last used it, and it's grown massively, and I'm actually quite shocked at what you can do at the present time. So join me for a quick little video, just a run through of how to create customers and the setup of CRM and what you can actually do through it. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do here is just log into our UISP platform and specifically the CRM side of it, as you can see there. And the first thing you'll notice is that I have a nice little window on the right-hand side that shows me all the steps I need to go through to set up my UISP CRM component. One of the first things you'll typically do is add a client. So I've already set up a basic organization, but in this I can have two options of how I add clients. I can either import clients, I can do that in bulk just via CSV, or what I can do instead is I can add clients manually. In this instance, I'm just going to add one singular client. I'm going to fill in all the details of this client, so the name of the person that works there, our primary contact within the organization. I'm going to say it's a company. I need to create a company name as well. In this case, it'll just be Leader. I can add details like their ABN information or tax information if I want to. I can add in the customer's website for tracking purposes. And then when I create a contact as well, I can specify the email address of that contact. And what's so powerful from this as well is Ubiquity can actually send the emails to your customers automatically to alert them if payment needs to be processed or if anything's outstanding or if there's a new invoice or anything like that. And you don't have to worry about SMTP setup, etc. Ubiquity just does that for you. I can also go create custom attributes. So I can say who the previous ISP was. I can add a whole bunch of information here as well. I can say how this customer should receive their invoices, how many days they have before their account gets suspended, if they don't pay, etc., etc. So tons of info. I can also use the system ones or the default ones, or I can override, and I can obviously apply tax to this customer as well. So here I just need to fill in the company name, just to give the general company info. And then the next thing I need to do is just the contact details there, and it should be good to go. So the customer would have now received as soon as I enter the email address there, it would have received a email from Leader saying that we've added you as a customer. Here is your login credentials, and we'll see that in a sec. So the login credentials actually allow you to have a customer portal that your customers can log into, and they can add payments or they can add see invoices, etc. Now I've gone and created the customer, you'll see that I have my customer info. I can see their account balances, I can see their open invoices, open jobs, any tickets they might have, and yes, CRM does have a full ticketing system built in. I can also choose to go create a service for the customer, which is what I'm doing now. So it can either be a recurring service or a prepaid service, depending on what your business style is. I'm just going to use a default plan here, or actually I'm going to create a custom one. And through this I can go, it's a internet plan. I'm providing them with a basic wireless connection. I'm going to charge them $54.99 a month for 15 megabits per second, which is a pretty steep price, but it's completely at your discretion. You can choose how this is done. And then obviously for tax, I can say if tax applies or not. I can implement a setup fee as well. So I can say, in order for me to install this kit, it's going to cost $199. I can make that part of this contract. So I can say the contract needs to run for 12 months or however long I want to make that. There's also an FCC reporting function that's more for the US, not really applicable to us. So what I've done now is I've essentially created the recurring invoicing for this customer. You'll see that the billing runs for X period of time and the charges associated with it. It'll show you the first invoice as well as the next invoice. I can also add different surcharges as well if I want to, or I can even apply a discount. So I can say, for example, this is a really good customer, I'll apply a one-time 20% discount, and we'll set it for one specific invoice, or whatever I prefer. I can go adjust that if I wish. So in the taxes section, as you would expect, it just has your taxes pre-filled. I've already set up 10%. And through this, what I can now do is I can go, cool, my customer is set up for recurring billing. They have a contract in place with me, and I can see that this customer is active as well. If I go to the overview section, you'll see the recurring billing charges, etc. It's listed there, and it shows when the next invoice is going to be. I can also do stuff like force an invoice or force a quote or something like that. So in this instance, I'm just doing an invoice. So I'm going to say I'm going to charge them X amount for the period that it's already been active. So let's say it's midway through the month, and I just want to create one invoice. I obviously need to add a service in here as well. So I need to say what I'm charging. I can say, okay, I'm charging them for the internet. Because it's only been active for a very small period of time, it's only going to be a fraction of the cost. So it's typically for your 1 day or whatever. And I can then say send and save. As soon as I say that, it will send an email to the nominated email address. It will create the invoice on the template that you can adjust and shows the amount that has been created. And you as the ISP can later on go back and check on all of these invoices. So you'll see there that I can see the total charge. I can also go to payments, or I can add a payment in as well. So I can say, for example, that the customer is paying via a Stripe credit card or something like that. I don't have any payment gateway set up on this, but if I did, it could charge the customer's accounts as well, or credit card on file automatically from there. I can also do credit notes and refunds, of course, if I want to, and I can even do an account statement to print that out and give that to the customer to say, this is for the length of period that you've been active with us, this is your charges. And there's tons more that I can attach to this, like documents around what the customer's requirements are, initial scoping, etc. In this instance, what I'm doing as well is I'm creating a ticket to say there's trouble with the internet. And in this instance, it's just no connection, very blank ticket. But your admin teams can, from this point, can actually start attending to these things. I haven't set up a support email address specifically, so it's not going to work 100%, but in theory, the customer should have now received an email to say, we've been alerted of a ticket. You can assign people to that ticket as well, and we'll drill down into that in a sec. So if I go back into the customer and just look at their account again, you'll see I have now a ton of information about this customer. I can see what fees are associated to them, their invoicing, when it's due, and I can also see my invoice due dates as well. I can see that's active and needs to be paid within 14 days. I can also create a quote directly from here, so I can say either a product, a fee, or a custom item. In this instance, for example, I can say it's a Microsoft 365 license, a business standard license, and I'm just going to charge them this fee as a once-off. In the real world, it would be a recurring fee, but for our example here, we're just going to do that, and at the old pricing as well. So we're just going to add that in. It's going to add tax on automatically. I can add notes to this as well. And then as soon as I go send and save, the customer receives a quote with that charge in that. And you can also go accept or reject this quote, or the customer can as well, and it shows up in the customer portal as well. I can obviously do payments as well. I can import payments in bulk, or I can add a singular payment depending on your accounting teams. And essentially I can go say that I want to issue a new payment, or want to issue a refund, or something to that. In addition to that, I can also use scheduling based on what needs to happen in terms of customer installs. So this is really nice and simple. Essentially what I do is I can say that I need to go install the internet at the customer that I've just created. I need to install a CPE. I can say that it's an open or in progress. I can say it's going to take around 4 hours, and then I'm going to specify the date at which this needs to occur. I can assign a user, so if I had technicians in here, I can assign that. I can assign the client, and what's nice about this as well is it adds the customer's address in, so the technician automatically knows where he needs to go. Really simple as well. And then from this, I can just save it. I can also add tasks if I want to say that this should be done on that specific day. And then every technician can come in the morning, or you as the administrator can go through this once a day and just go through your timelines and check what is scheduled for which day. In this instance, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go to the day that we've set this up. So I'm just going to click on that. I'm going to go to the first, and you'll see that my time slot is scheduled in there. It's got all the info. It's got the GPS coordinates. It's got the customer's name, and a lot of information around that as well. As a technician, you can then obviously go to the ticketing side of the UISP CRM as well. In this instance, I'm just going to say that the problem that I created earlier has been resolved. I can send this. The customer will get an alert as well to say that it has now been resolved. And essentially that ticket gets taken off the name of the user. I can also generate reports to see data usage, which clients have the most data requirements, if I have enough throughput in the back end, etc., as well. Ubiquiti does provide an extremely comprehensive list of support documents around this as well. So if you ever feel disjointed, or if you're unsure of which setting does, you can always just refer back to that. In the settings here, it's more related to the CRM settings as opposed to device settings. So this isn't really for your setting up your point-to-point links and stuff like that. It's more towards setting up the CRM side of it. So typically I would have gone and created my company name. I would have created a whole bunch of info around my company. I can say what my billing cycles are, whether my pricing is tax inclusive or exclusive. I can say how my default actions are for my company. In other words, do I by default send via post, or do I by default send invoices by mail, email I mean. I can also dictate what my default suspension actions are. In other words, how long before it suspends an account, what are the terms around this suspension, how quickly can they unblock that account. And of course, I can even say there's a penalty fee for unblocking that account as well. So if they haven't paid and they need to resume the service, then they need to pay a $9 surcharge or something like that. And there's a ton of tools here. It's literally too much for me to go through in one little video, but I can also go create custom templates, as you would expect, for setting up my my invoices, etc., etc. I can also go and customize my customer landing pages, my quotes, credit notes, account statements, anything really. So the customer landing page is an important one, because that's where your customers will be redirected to the first time they log in and want to activate their services or want to see their invoices, etc. Tons of tools here. I can also dictate how I want to add different users. I can import users, different levels of users, and something that's unique here is you can actually enable plugins as well. And a good example here is importing, for example, a KMZ map or linking it to KMZ maps. There's a ton of pre-built integrations for that. I can also, through this, go and set a whole bunch of other settings like client tags, attributes. I can go change some of the names of the key attributes within this setup as well. So really gone through that very fast. We've only been doing this for, I think, about 13 minutes. To really get to play with this, I highly recommend checking out Ubiquiti's UISP tools. UISP is free to access online. If you have a UISP device, something like a UISP router, then you essentially just need to activate that device and you'll have 30 days access to UISP. Alternatively, if you have more than 10 devices that you can put on here, it stays free indefinitely. So the requirement from Ubiquiti side is that you must activate one device within 24 hours, and then 10 devices within the first 30 days. If you can do that, UISP stays free forever, and Ubiquiti essentially give you a unique FQDN as well to make sure that you actually log into this and you can brand it the way you want. Really cool. I love the CRM capabilities of this, and we will be doing other videos on the networking side of it as well. Thank you so much for watching. Cheers.